Hi, Story Gordon here. How's it going? Me too. It's going. For me, it's going great. Well, it is now. 11 months ago, I experienced another birthday with a zero at the end. My eighth, the big 8-0. I don't recall ever being affected by a birthday ending in a zero until this one. Something happened. It bollocksed my mind. For several months, I've been wondering what to do next. What do you do at 80? And then I remembered Eric Hoffer wrote that at 65, you look back on your life and you either live as a philosopher or a malcontent, depending on how you saw your life to date. Well, at 65, I look back on my life and I became a bit of a philosopher. I'd retired, I was volunteering, helping people, enjoying my life, trying to make sense of what had happened to date. But then, a couple of years ago at 78, I was a little discomfited because Hoffer had said our lives unfold in stages of 13 years or so. While I didn't subscribe to that exactly, I'm an engineer, a bit of a skeptic. I love models though, and the idea that our lives unfold in stages of 13 years intrigued me. It makes sense early on. Somewhere around 13, we achieve sexual maturity. Somewhere around 26, mental maturity, or as he said, our mind catches up with our body. Somewhere around 39, we find a new approach to living, maybe focus on a narrower point of our profession. And then at 52, we may enter into a stage of mastery. When I checked my life, it was on the money, almost exactly. Every 13 years, I went through some sort of a living segue and started a new career or a more focused approach to what I was doing. Then at 65, I became a philosopher, volunteering, helping where I could. I didn't need to work to make more money, so life was good. I was unencumbered. But for some reason at 80, things got disoriented. Trying to figure out what was happening, I recalled that Joseph Campbell had said Schopenhauer had written that we would look back on our lives later and wonder who wrote that life. Thinking about it, I've come to believe that the common human goal that every one of us wants to be successful. What triggered this was a friend of mine, Dave, said to me a couple of months ago that I was his role model because I had been so successful. And I thought to myself, successful? I don't think I've been successful. Nobody's heard of me. I'm not a celebrity. People don't call and ask me to come and be on talk shows. So I looked it up in the OED, the Oxford English Dictionary, and there it was. Success, the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. Think about it. How many aims and purposes have you had today? I've had quite a few, and I've achieved most of them. Not always, but many. Looking back on my life, I said, okay, if I have hundreds of successes every day or week, what about the big ones? How did they happen? I've known a lot of people who were successful. Some seem born to it. Some seem to have achieved it through hard work, planning, and focus. Some thrust it upon themselves. But my successes have come mainly out of failures. When I realized that, I spoke with some of my friends and I commented that in looking at the successes in my life, most of them had begun with something I would call a failure. Ironically, they all agreed. This seems to be a universal phenomenon that great success begins with a seed planted during a great failure. Without going through all the details, I'll focus on 4 successes. The first one is my wife, Frances. We've been married almost 62 years. I would say that is a success. But how did we connect? What happened? It's a long story. I tell the story when I speak. It takes up to 10 minutes. I won't take that long. But here's the thumbnail. 1951, 8th grade. I sat next to the same girl in class, in every class, because the teacher seated us alphabetically. I was in love. I was afraid that if I told her, she would reject me and I would die. I was 13. I was too young to die. One thing led to another. Through a friend and his older brother, I finally got up the nerve to ask her. She agreed to go on a date. I dropped her camera with all the pictures of her first dance in it. She dumped me because I was a jerk. For the next 4 years, I wandered in the wilderness, so to speak, with my buddies. Something like the 4 guys in Breaking Away, trying to figure out what to do next. My junior year in high school, they implored me to date Frances. She was a new girl in school, didn't have a lot of friends. She was the shortest girl in the class. I was the tallest guy in the class. I knew what they were up to and I refused. Finally, I agreed. She agreed. I took her to a dance. The problem was I was playing in the band at the dance. So she sat over on the wall. And after it was over, my mother, who wanted me to be a gentleman, had instructed me that I was supposed to ask her if she had had a good time. She said she had. Why? How could she? I was in the band. She was sitting in a chair. Because the chaperones that night were 2 coaches. Good-looking single guys every girl in the school had a crush on. When they found out she had a date who was playing in the band, Goofy Gordon, they danced with her. The other girls wanted to know what it was like. She had a great time. Wanting to make amends, I asked her for another date. She agreed. That one led to another, and we got married almost 62 years ago. So out of that failure of being a jerk with my first love, I've had a life mate for 62 years. Another success, a great success, was that I found my calling at 19. I became an electronics technologist, a technical instructor, fully immersed in electronics, teaching electronic fundamentals in the Air Force. How did that happen? Another failure. In high school, my junior year, I decided I was going to be a high school math and science teacher. Arranged my schedule to graduate early, went off to college a semester early, and busted. I wasn't ready for college. I had the smarts. I didn't have the discipline. In a fit of pique, I joined the Air Force. While I was in the Air Force Tech School studying electronics, I married Frances. They gave us an incentive that the top graduate in the class could get their choice of duty. Wanting to be someplace where I could be with Frances, I studied hard, graduated top of my class, requested an assignment close to our hometown. They said, sorry, Charlie or Gordon, you're going to stay here as an instructor. For the next 2 years, I taught 6 hours a day, 5 days a week, in 3-week phases. I taught electronics. Ohm's law, and all of it, including radar and radar maintenance. It's who I am. I want to be knowledgeable and a speaker. My next big success came in 1986. I had been in the first perfect job of my life beginning in 74 because I'd spent nearly 10 years as a salesman and I was okay at it. I was selling high-tech products. I was pretty good at it, but I wasn't great. I really wasn't fully immersed in it. I was enjoying it, making a good living. And I went to work for a company in Florida that sold custom designed and produced modems. I was good at it because I had had 20 some years of technical experience. I was a degreed engineer now, and I was ready to work with people who wanted products that put their product line a little bit above their competition. I was supported by an engineer who was a modem designer. He decided to leave to make more money. All of a sudden, I don't have a technical support person. I don't have someone who can help me write modem specifications and resolve the issues between us and our customers as to what our products should include so they would want to buy them and improve their product line, making it more competitive. My boss looked high and low. He looked everywhere except one place, me. He finally got to me. When he came to me, he said, "Gordon, I need someone to support our salespeople. You're the closest thing I found. I want you to try it. I don't think you can do it, but I want you to give it a shot for 90 days. And if it works out, the job is yours." I took it. Within 60 days, I had found a new calling because I was working as a liaison, a technical product liaison between big customers like IBM, Western Union, EMI, AT&T, and our engineering and production people, negotiating and resolving specifications for customized products, coming up with products no one else had. It was a great success because I did that for 10 years. I was happy. It was the best job in the world. And then one of those internet bubble bursts occurred. The company I was with fell on hard times. Our custom business fell off. I was laid off, which led to my next success. Laid off is not a success. But at breakfast with my best friend the next morning, he said, "Become a consultant. Nobody can say you're not a consultant." So I did. I had 30 years of high-tech experience in sales, product development, teaching. So I was knowledgeable, which made it easier to find consultant jobs. Within 6 months, my old employer hired me back to write a generalized modem specification they could use for product development. While I was there developing this new modem specification, one of my buddies said, "Have you ever thought about teaching seminars?" And I said, "No, I didn't know there were any." He gave me brochures from 3 seminar companies that were conducting public seminars on communications networks and the internet. I interviewed the 3 of them, went to work with one of them as a subcontractor. And for the next 15 years, that's what I did. I developed and delivered seminars on data communications networks, primarily all the bit fiddling that go on inside the internet. Then in 2001, I said, "Okay, that's enough." I retired. I was able to do so and say, Let's spend the rest of my life doing what it is I really want to do. Since then, I've been a volunteer at a national monument, at a juvenile detention center. I've helped people become better speakers. I've worked at a historical museum as a docent and as a living history person. But mainly I've been able to do what it was the intensity of my 45-year career kept me from doing, which I've been able to read, study, and figure out what it is my life is about and where I want to go next. Until now, at 80. So the question is, what am I going to do? When I look back over my life, I see successes. Marriage, speaking, volunteering. And what would I change? If I could do it again, there's not a lot I would change. I wouldn't smoke, ever. I wouldn't drink any alcohol, ever. I'd drink more coffee, that's for sure. I would also change my success mantra. Because in my life, I've always success mantra or premise as I am going to do this, or I am going to be this, or I am going to see things this way. And the problem with that is nothing turns out the way I expect. From here on, my new success premise is I wonder what would happen if I did this. This is an initial offering. This program, this video is the beginning of my next stage of living, what I call stage 7. The first 6 stages of living are childhood, adolescence, adulthood, focus, mastery, elderhood, and now stage 7, which I see as advocacy. I am an advocate for success. I call myself the success maven. Success is very simple. The accomplishment or purpose. But it's not easy because deciding what our aims or purposes are going to be is very difficult. We are each originals, different DNA, different experience. And the 4 essentials in success are motivation, wanting to do something, wanting to be someone, wanting to see in a particular way. Commitment, making the time, investing the energy to achieve what we want to do, who we want to be, how we want to see. Developing expertise, so we're a little better today than we were yesterday. And finally, persistence, never giving up, no matter what. I've been fired, I've been laid off, I've had cancer, I've made some dumb decisions. Persistence may be the most important of the 4. So from here on, my premise is this. I wonder what will happen if I complete this sentence stem. And this is my first offering. This video is the beginning of my journey into becoming a success maven. Thanks for watching. If you want more, I have more than 180 video clips on my YouTube channel. Most of them are only a minute or 2. Take a look, see if there's something you like. This is Story Gordon saying, be successful.